Hello and welcome. So today we are going to be talking about fall fragrances. But this is a very special lineup because I consider each and every one of these fragrances a true masterpiece. Now, many of these fragrances I've had in my collection for a while. Others are brand new to 2025 releases. But for the most part, what I can tell you is that I've had the opportunity to experience each fragrance and then be ready to today tell you that I really do think they are masterpieces and that, it's only a matter of what is your scent profile preference because I just don't think you can go wrong with any of them. They perform beautifully. They are fragrances that really, evoke that sense, that feel of the autumn or fall season. It's a season where there's changes to the leaves and there's so many beautiful colors, but there's also a warmth that comes along with that. And then the question is, are you into warm and sugary or dry and spicy scents? What is it that really strikes your fancy? So I decided to challenge myself and go through my entire, Western niche fragrance collection and pick for you 15 fragrances that I really feel are masterpieces and that will really embody fall for you. They are like fall in a bottle. There's that warmth, that coziness, but at the same time, you're not only going to smell fabulous, but you're going to feel absolutely beautiful. I also want you to know that although I'm covering today 15 fragrances that I consider to be masterpieces for the fall, I will not be speaking necessarily to vanilla-centric fragrances. There are a couple of fragrances that have quite a bit of vanilla here, but this video is not about vanilla fragrances. It is not about cherry fragrances, and it is not about gourmands. I will have dedicated videos for those three categories very soon. But for today, I just want to share with you 15 perfect for fall fragrances that I consider to be masterpieces and therefore that I highly recommend. All of these fragrances have been discussed on the channel before, so this is not necessarily a detailed review video, even though I will, of course, as always, be giving you quite a bit of information. So let's go ahead and jump right in. But before we do so, if this is your first time here, I'm Marahi, and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. So the first fragrance that I have for you today is one that I don't think I've ever heard anybody speak about, and this fragrance truly deserves all of the attention. So this one is from Stephane Humbert Lucas, and this one is Wish Come True. And here is the beautiful, beautiful bottle. And, I just find it really, really interesting because in our fragrance community, we are very much familiar with Stephane Humbert Lucas for fragrances that are just absolutely amazing, such as God of Fire and Pink Boa and others, right? But when it comes to Wish Come True, again, I don't think I've ever heard anybody speak about this fragrance. And it is a fragrance that, to me, is a true masterpiece. When it comes to Stephane Humbert Lucas, I think that Soleil de Jeddah and this one are my favorites, truly, even though God of Fire is such a deep love for me. But this is truly a masterpiece. Now, Wish Come True is a fragrance that has a perfect mix of white and yellow florals. But at that, it does open with the florals, but in the opening, you're going to get more of like the yellow florals than the white because the opening is also citrusy and a tad fresh. At that, you are going to pick up almost immediately, clearly on the note of Lang Lang. And that floral is the floral that, at least on my skin and to my nose, takes the lead. So you really have to be into that yellow florals. But then there's also white florals. And I really can't distinguish which one is which within the whites or which one is taking the lead because the blend is so exquisite. The only floral that I clearly pick up on throughout the entire journey and the wear of the fragrance is definitely the ylang ylang. Another very, very interesting quality of this fragrance is that it is a tad smoky. It is not very, very smoky. It's not that the smokiness is faint, but there is smokiness to this fragrance. And there is vanilla, there are some woody notes, but at the end of the day, for me, it's about the florals, a tad of woodiness, and a kind of smoky quality and vibe to the fragrance. So another very important thing to know about this beauty is that this is a fragrance that does have, you know, that smoky quality to it, but it's also ambery, and there's like a touch of a balsamic quality to the fragrance. But all in all, this is a scent that is going to carry you through the fall season beautifully. It is a scent that performs beautifully. It will give you a full day wear. It does have a moderate sillage, and it is a fragrance that truly, to me, embodies that feel of the fall season. This is a fragrance that you could use during the fall, winter season, and spring, but not necessarily for the summer. The next fragrance that I have for you is from Memo Paris, and this is a 2024 release. And as soon as I picked it up, and I'll tell you more about it, it jumped to the top of my favorites. And I have quite the vast collection of Memo Paris fragrances because I absolutely enjoy the DNA of that fragrance house. But this one is Abu Dhabi. And here is the beautiful bottle. Now, Abu Dhabi is a fragrance that was launched in 2024, and initially it was launched as a Harrods exclusive, so it took a while for me to get my hands on it. And I do have an unboxing here on the channel because you had two options with this fragrance. You could either pick up this single bottle, or you could pick up an entire like experience kit, which includes like 6 or 7 additional fragrances at the 30 ml size that allow you to emphasize specific notes and accords within this fragrance. It is an absolute delight to actually work with all of those scents in combination with the center, scent, which is Abu Dhabi. Now, Abu Dhabi is a fragrance that has an exquisitely done date note. I really do enjoy a good date note fragrance, but here it has been combined primarily. I mean, there's other spices, but primarily to my nose, I clearly pick up on the cardamom, not just in the opening, but throughout the entire wear of the fragrance. It is definitely a fragrance that incorporates elements such as a beautifully done plum. It has date, it has spicy notes, and within those spicy notes, again, the cardamom to me is the lead, but you're also going to pick up on the saffron. It is a very ambery fragrance, and it has also vetiver. But the vetiver here is not the kind of vetiver that will give the fragrance like a masculine feel, right? Or leaning more to the masculine side. To me, this is truly a unisex fragrance, and at that, it is one that I find completely addictive. But within all the Memo Paris fragrances that I have, which I literally love them all truly, they're also very different. There's just something about Abu Dhabi that will get you completely addicted. This is truly a scent that embodies the feel of the autumn and or fall season. And it is also one that I think is perfect for like special occasions during the fall season, not just for like Thanksgiving or anything like that, but I just don't think that this is a scent that would go well with your office, like if you had to go to the office using or wearing this scent, because there is something a little bit special about it. I can't explain it, but that's the feel that I get. So during the fall season, when you want to feel like you've really put yourself together and you're feeling special, this is the perfect scent to complete that with. Now, the next fragrance that I have for you is from Penhaligon's, and this one is Changing Constance. Now, this one in this lineup may be one of the newest ones because even though it wasn't launched this year or even last year, it's not a fragrance that I've had for years and years. But I have to tell you, as soon as it came into my collection, it did earn its place. And for me, this is a true masterpiece. This is an incredible, incredible fragrance. So So this is not the video where I'm sharing with you, like the vanillas of the season or the cherries of the season or even the gourmands. There will be a video for each one of those very soon. But this is a fragrance that, although it's not going to make you smell like food, it has a ton of vanilla and it has a ton of caramel, because the fragrance to my nose definitely opens with that vanilla and that caramel. It is sweet. It is a little bit warm, spicy. It has like an aromatic quality to it all throughout the wear of the fragrance. And at the dry down, it is a powdery fragrance. But there is a warmth and a coziness that comes with this fragrance. It does evoke a feel of ease and comfort and peace and tranquility. It is just perfection for the fall season. I think that this is good for any occasion as long as you want to embody that feel of autumn. The next fragrance that I have for you is from the Harmonist, and this one is Hypnotizing Fire. And look at this gorgeous, gorgeous bottle. Some people do not appreciate the shape or the bottle itself, right? Like the design and everything of the Harmonist collection, but I absolutely love these bottles. I think they have like a minimalist feel to them, and I absolutely love them. But let's talk about Hypnotizing Fire, because I own about 7 or 8 fragrances from the Harmonist, and this one is very, very different. And if you know anything about the Harmonist, you know that this is a fragrance house that designs their fragrances with, or keeping in mind that if you want to layer one with the other, you should definitely do so. But I have to tell you that the one that I really like to use to layer with the most is Hypnotizing Fire, because Hypnotizing Fire, just as its name says it, is true fire. To me, this is the masterpiece of the Harmonist for sure. This is a very warm, spicy fragrance where you're clearly going to pick up on the note of pimento in the opening and throughout the olfactory journey. At the dry down, that pimento subsides, but there's still a warm, spicy quality to the fragrance, very reminiscent of like those fall days where you've invited guests to your home or family to your home, and you're in the kitchen cooking and everybody's sitting around. There is a feel to that, and that is what I get from this fragrance if I wear it on its own. It's very much to me like a fall winter kind of spicy, feel and cozy warmth to it. The fragrance is definitely one that has the note of patchouli, and the patchouli is not demure. So to a certain extent, I say that you have to enjoy patchouli, but the patchouli here is not like too earthy or like with that raw scent that you get in some very, very strong presence patchouli scents. Not here. This is truly an exquisitely done blend, but at that, it is, in my opinion, designed to be all about that warmth and that spiciness. And it does have vanilla, it does have a little bit of nuttiness to it, and I can't remember which is the specific nut that it has, but there's a tad of nuttiness, but it's quite faint, so that's not really the driver here. But all in all, this is perfection for the fall season. Again, for when you want to get that true feel of like being in an environment where there's a warm, cozy feel overall. The next fragrance that I have for you is one of my deepest loves right now in my entire collection. And as soon as I share with you the fragrance, you're going to know, oh, well, it's one of her favorite fragrance houses. Well, I have to tell you that, yes, Bond Number 9 is one of my favorite fragrance houses, but from my entire Bond Number 9 collection, Bond Number 1, from the first moment I sniffed it, really did capture my heart and jumped all the way to the top of my very, very top favorites. So this is Bond Number 1. Look at what a beautiful, beautiful bottle. But the scent, oh, this is beyond masterpiece. This is just so, so special. This fragrance has an exquisitely done blend where you're not necessarily going to be able to pick up on specific notes. You'll get some accords, but when it comes to the notes themselves, it is just so, so hard. But let me try and explain it to you. So here you have a combination of white and yellow florals. Nope, I cannot distinguish a specific one. And the more I've become familiar with this fragrance, the more I just realize that it is really all about those white and yellow florals on a backdrop of a ton of vanilla. Because when I tell you that the vanilla is the one thing you're gonna know is very much present in this fragrance, it is just incredible. I almost didn't pull it for this lineup because I will have another video where I talk specifically to my favorite vanillas for the entire fall season, right? Like the vanillas that are the masterpieces in my collection. And this one will definitely be in that lineup, but I could not have a fall masterpiece fragrances, lineup and not include number one, because number one truly stands for its name. This to me is the number one from the entire Bond number 9 portfolio of fragrances. And I have either sniffed or own just about most of them. So this is a fragrance that, as I said, and it is so addictive. So this is a fragrance that has patchouli. It has some white and yellow florals. The patchouli brings a certain degree of creaminess to the fragrance, and combined with the note of tonka bean, which has been done here incredibly, because to me, the tonka bean here accentuates that vanilla note that I spoke about before. And in addition to that, it brings like a caramelly type of scent to the fragrance. There is a creaminess here that makes this scent perfect for the fall season because it brings a warmth and a coziness right along with it. The florals are definitely there, but the florals are not the stars. I say that there is nothing really that's the main star of this fragrance because the blend is just so incredibly done. But if I had to say that there is the one note that may be the star, or the one that has more of a key role or critical role, I would say it's the vanilla, because this is truly incredible. When it comes to those florals and the vanilla and, that tonka working together on a very strong base of musk, because this is like a level 3 musk where 5 is the most and 1 is the least. But this is not truly about the musk. This is really about the entire blend. I tell you, if you are a Bond collector and you haven't gotten your nose on this one, I don't know what you're doing. But even if you're not a Bond collector or Bond, number 9 fragrance house, fan, I am telling you, get your nose on this one and you can thank me later. So the next fragrance that I have for you is from another fragrance house that you guys know that I just pick up just about every single fragrance that they launch, because I am truly in love with this fragrance house, and it is truly special. And I'm speaking about Tomavicci. And from Tomavicci, today I want to talk to you about Ange Noir. And look at this gorgeous bottle. Now, if you own any Tomavicci fragrance, can you let us know in the comments section, what is it that you love about Tomavicci as a fragrance house if you own multiple? And if you just own one, can you let us know which one you own and what is it that you love about that one fragrance? But let's talk about Ange Noir, because this is an incredible fragrance, a true masterpiece. And I am telling you, I would like to find one person that tells me that they don't at least like this fragrance. And if you don't enjoy this fragrance at all, I really want to know why, because it's probably a function of some of the notes or maybe the accords and tonalities that you pick up from this fragrance. But to me, this is a fragrance that does embody the special occasions for the fall. This is not an everyday fragrance. I find that most Tomavicci fragrances are not truly everyday fragrances. They're not like I just don't know what to wear today, so let me just pull this fragrance and spray it on and move on. No. There's always a vision behind a Tomavicci fragrance that is very much in line with the occasions or what you would like to use it for. And when it comes to Ange Noir, to me, this is sensuality in a bottle, but specific to the fall and winter seasons. But for the fall, this is absolute perfection because it is a musk-based fragrance. And the musk here is to the tune of like a level 3. Now, in addition to that, now what I love about this fragrance is that when it comes to the fall season, it is a fragrance that is quite ambery, and it does have some florals, but to me, this is not about the florals. There is, if I recall correctly, the note of apple, but to me, this fragrance is really all about like some woody notes with that patchouli bringing some creaminess to the mix. It's a very ambery fragrance, so it's all about that ambery quality that you're going to get from the scent. And at that, the dry down is powdery, but it's not one of those like excessive powderiness type of dry downs. It's definitely not. It is perfection. It is beautiful. And this to me speaks to sensuality in a bottle. So this is not one that I would wear to the office, but like I always tell you, wear what you want, how you want, and when you want. But for me, this is not an office scent. This is not an office fragrance because it truly speaks to a special occasion, not necessarily formal. You could be going on a date during the fall and just wear some boots and a pair of jeans and a big sweater, you know, and maybe like one of those like swing coats or something like that. But I am going to tell you that this is the perfect fragrance to top off an entire vibe and look where you're feeling special and you want a fragrance that will also convey that message. That is what you're going to get from Ange Noir. Let us know if you tried it or if you own it and how you feel about it. Now, if you're looking for amber scent perfection, I have the perfect fragrance for you. And this is a 2025 release, but I tell you, this is not just any amber fragrance. This is loaded with so many notes and accords that give it a ton of personality. And I am speaking about the latest from Dries Van Noten, and this one is Havana Gold. And here is the gorgeous bottle because this is absolutely beautiful. And I have to tell you that the bottle speaks to me of the juice because this is a very, very ambery fragrance. This is a fragrance that you could make your signature scent. It's not a fragrance that I would call like an easy pull, but it is a fragrance that if you have a certain vibe to yourself, if you are, you know, all about elegance and sophistication and versatility and being open-minded, this is your fragrance. This fragrance has the notes of tobacco and leather, and it has anise, and it has spicy notes that are very, very clear to your nose. I will tell you that the one spice that I do pick up here is the note of cinnamon. So you really have to be into it because to me, it's not that it's a dominant cinnamon fragrance, but throughout parts of the olfactory journey, the cinnamon is very present. And at the dry down, the cinnamon is also present. Now, this is a creation from Jordi Fernandez, and as soon as I heard that he was the perfumer behind it, and being that I love this fragrance house, I knew that I was going to pick it up. And I discussed this with you during a Saturday morning chatty scent corner. I've already done a detailed review of this fragrance here on the channel, but I have to tell you, this is the one fragrance that I have been waiting for the fall season to be about to come, you know, to enter, for me to pull and just use it at that, and to add character and oomph to it. You're going to find the note of tobacco, but the tobacco here is not necessarily a very moist tobacco, but it's also not that dry, very, very intense kind of tobacco that tends to lean more to the masculine side. So if you've seen the notes of this fragrance and you're concerned about the combination of the leather and the tobacco and those spicy notes, this truly is a completely unisex fragrance. I can definitely see a lady or a gent wearing this or even making it their signature scent for the cooler weather months. The next fragrance that I want to share with you is from my favorite fragrance house. And this year, Xerjoff, if you've been with me for a while, you know it's Xerjoff. This year, Xerjoff has launched several fragrances. But I have to tell you, they just launched one called Coral. And I have to tell you that from the fragrances that they've launched this year, my favorite collection is the collection that they developed and launched in collaboration with Duran. And from that collection, there were two fragrances and I own them both. And I've discussed Black Moonlight here on the channel, which is incredible. But I have to tell you that for the fall, perfection for the fall between those two, it definitely has to be Neo Rio. And let me go ahead and share with you this beautiful bottle. So in case you're not aware, Neo Rio is a fragrance that comes in 4 different colors. There's the hot pink, hot yellow, hot green, and a hot orange, like a burnt orange. But they're all neon colors, you know, I guess picking up on the vibe of the 80s, or, you know, because that's when Duran was at its top, you know, peak in fame. But at all that, Here's the thing about this fragrance. When it comes to Black Moonlight, which is the one that I've shared with you that comes in the completely black bottle, and it's somewhere over here. Yeah, right there, like exactly where I'm pointing, that's Black Moonlight. It comes in the same bottle, but all in black. Now, the thing about this one is that it has a very present and actually kind of dominant fig note. And you guys know that I'm in my fig era. So for me, this fragrance, and then when it comes to the fall season, we're talking about spices and comfort and cooking and, you know, just getting involved in pies and different things, right? And I just feel that this fragrance embodies the feel of the fall season more than Black Moonlight, because Black Moonlight to me is like a sexy fragrance. This one is not necessarily sexy, but it's a fragrance with quite a bit of character. Here, not only are you going to find that fig note, that is very, very dominant. As soon as you sniff this fragrance, it is really all about the fig. But in addition to that, you are going to find some florals, you're going to find some patchouli, you are going to find a tad of a booziness to the fragrance, and the booziness is combined, at least to my nose and on my skin, with that, you know, like it's like a boozy fig kind of accord that you're going to get. It's just really, really interesting. And I don't have another fragrance in my collection that is fig centric where the fig is actually boozy. So there's a complete feel to this fragrance that I think is just right in line with what you would want to wear during the fall. In addition to that boozy fig and those florals, you are then, to top it all off, going to have tonka bean. And the tonka bean here is very, very present, and it brings like a caramelly vanillic warmth to the entire feel and scent. It is just incredible. This is a fragrance that I think that you could use for just about any occasion, day or night. This is not truly defined as a gourmand, but I am telling you, that fig note with that booziness and that tonka bean that is so present, give the fragrance a certain degree of yumminess. But if you are okay with that, you can use it for just about any occasion, day or night. But what I tell you is, if you are into those notes, this is a fragrance that you really want to try, because it is different and it is definitely very, very special. So the next fragrance that I want to share with you is a fragrance that there's like a group of fragrances that I typically reserve to pull, right, and keep on my easy to pull or know that this is perfect for the season perfume tray. And this is one that when we are approaching the fall season, I just can't wait to pull this one. And this is actually my second bottle, because the first one I did like finish it down to like almost half, and then I just gave it away. But this is when I tell you perfection for the fall season. And this is from Kilian, and it is Black Phantom. And here is the beautiful, beautiful bottle. Now, Black Phantom is a fragrance that for me, it is not an everyday fragrance. This is also not one that I would say that you can only pull it for like a formal event or a formal occasion. But this is a fragrance that you want to wear in those moments where you want a certain feel. So, and that feel for me is like, I want to put myself together. I want to lift my spirit, and I want to feel absolutely invincible, like I can conquer the world. It's not necessarily about feeling beautiful and sexy. It's about conveying a feel of I can handle it. I can handle whatever is going on. That is the feel that I get. It's a very empowering kind of fragrance. This is a scent that to me is all about the note of coffee combined with a chocolate that almost borders to my nose and on my skin. It almost comes across as a pure cacao type of scent, but it is a mix if like you had a coffee that was flavored with chocolate, and at that the chocolate is dark. That is really what I get primarily from this fragrance. It's not, to me, it's not a gourmand. It's definitely not a gourmand to me. And it's not going to make you smell like food. And it's not also going to give you a scent that is yummy. But there is just something very, very different about this fragrance. Have you tried Black Phantom? Do you get what I'm saying? Because to me, this has got to be one of the most complex fragrances that I've ever tried and owned from Kilian. At that, the fragrance has a tad of a nutty quality to it, courtesy of the note of almond, but it's like faint and in the background. The florals for me in this fragrance are not a factor. To me, this is not about florals. Again, this is about a very nicely done combination of like a dark chocolate and coffee kind of note that gives you an accord and tonalities that are just perfect and go very nicely with very cool weather. I think that this is perfect for the fall season. This is also a fragrance that, of course, will carry you through the winter season. For me, this is more of a cooler weather fragrance primarily. The fragrance also has, a woody presence to it. The woody notes are always in the backdrop. If I recall correctly, there's sandalwood. I don't get any creaminess, though, coming from that sandalwood or from anything else. I just get that very crisp scent that goes very well with a crisp fall day, where it's definitely cool, very cool, not like a fall day where it's kind of warm still from the summer. No, this is definitely for me like the best bloom that you're going to get from this fragrance is on a very cool day. The fragrance also has a tad of booziness to it, but the booziness to me, it's almost like if you put a couple, or one shot of some sort of liquor in that coffee with that chocolate that I told you. So you take like a flavored coffee, like a flavored with chocolate kind of coffee, and it's a dark chocolate. It has no cream in it, by the way. And you put a little bit of sugar and you put that one shot of that liquor, and that is the scent that you're going to get. So you have to be into that tad of booziness, because I wouldn't say that this is a full-on boozy. It does open more boozy, but as the journey continues, the booziness starts to like decrease, because that's not what the fragrance is about. At least to my nose and on my skin, it's really about that chocolate and that coffee. But all in all, this fragrance does embody the feel of a fall day. Not for the office, in my opinion, but definitely for when you want to be empowered and feel like you can take on the world. Now, this next fragrance is for my rose lovers. And while this fragrance is not just about the note of rose, it is definitely a rose-centric fragrance. But have you ever tried a scent that is like a boozy rose? Does that even exist in your collection? But if you haven't, I'm here to introduce you today to Rose Trombone from L'Orchestre Parfums. And here is the gorgeous, gorgeous bottle. Now, this is a fragrance that has been around for a while. And I picked it up maybe like a year plus ago, and I've used it for one season. And I am so looking forward to using it this season, because this is a complete masterpiece. This is such a different take on a rose-centric fragrance. To begin with, the rose here is not jammy at all. It is crisp, it is modern, it is fresh. It's like it's bloomed maybe a couple of days ago, but it still hasn't entered, that level of maturity where it starts to get jammy or starts to smell a little bit dated. No, this is a freshly bloomed rose. But at that, it is combined with the note of rum, if I recall correctly. But there is a true booziness to that rose. At that, there is a fruity aspect to the fragrance. I can't clearly decipher what are the fruity notes, what are they all, but I do pick up on a fruity quality that is always in the backdrop. It's not faint, it's there, but it's behind that boozy rose, which is the star of the fragrance. In addition to that, you are going to get at the dry down a tad of woodiness. This is a musk-based fragrance, by the way, and it is not a very present musk, because the rose and the booziness that comes with the rose takes over the entire show. You are going to pick up on quite a bit of vanilla, but at the dry down, it is truly a blend. You're not going to be able to necessarily say that this is a rose fragrance, because it is about a scent that is comprised of some fruitiness, some florals that are boozy, and that vanilla on a backdrop of woody notes. This makes for the perfect fragrance for you to just have around and pull throughout the entire fall season. It does embody that season. It does go very well with it. I'm not even sure that this is a fragrance that I would pull during a winter, very, very cold, like snowy winter day, because to me, this is perfection for that fall weather. This is like sweater weather kind of scent, but at that, it is one that you could definitely have, on your dresser just to pull every day during the fall. And I tell you, you are going to smell fabulous. So typically we steer away from florals when it comes to the fall and the winter to a certain extent, unless they're mixed with certain notes and accords, because florals speak primarily to spring and maybe the summer. But when it comes to this has been done, for me, this was designed like for the fall season for sure, because it is an absolutely perfect scent. This scent not only embodies that fall season, like I said before, but it is one that you could wear for any occasion, day or night. You are going to have that booziness, which is not too excessive. It's really, the blend of that vanilla, which brings like a warmth to it with the rose and that tad of booziness. It is just beautiful because it also has that woody presence that's really going to make this a fragrance that is very suitable for just about any occasion. Let us know if you've tried Rose Trombone or any of the fragrances from the Orchestra Parfum and how you feel about it. I know that a lot of people, have picked up and talk about Piano Santal all the time, and I do own it and I love it and it is truly incredible. But to me, this is the masterpiece of Le Orchestra Parfum. So the next fragrance that I have for you is from a fragrance house, and I have to tell you, this fragrance is definitely like mystery in a bottle. During the fall season, if you want to feel mysterious, if you want to feel or embody that type of individual that everybody wants to know who they are and what is it that they do and where they're from, but nobody knows anything about them, this is the fragrance that embodies that kind of feel in that moment. And this one is VideCorMeum, and this one is from Chris Collins. And I hope that I pronounced the name correctly, but this is the beautiful, beautiful bottle. Now, this fragrance is very new to my collection because I had an event several months ago, and I did share with you a small video from that event where I met Chris Collins and we had a good conversation, and he did recommend certain fragrances from his fragrance house to me based on our discussion and based on what I was telling him that I missed in my collection, that I didn't feel that I have. And this one was his top recommendation. And when I sniffed it, I did a double take because this fragrance is just so, so different. So let me start by telling you that this is very aromatic. Oh, it is very addictive. But I have to tell you that I don't know if you've ever tried Chris Collins fragrances, but they tend to be addictive for one reason or the other. I don't know how he does it, but they tend to be addictive. But this one will hook you on and put you on a chokehold and not let go. This is a true masterpiece. And I can tell you that I've never sniffed anything like this. As I said before, this fragrance is very aromatic. It also has a continuous smoky quality to it, but the smokiness here has been done so smooth because you're going to pick up on the smokiness from the opening of the fragrance all throughout the olfactory journey and definitely throughout the wear. This is a fragrance that pulls you immediately into cooler weather. This is in no way, shape, or form a fragrance that I would ever pull for the spring or for the summer season, unless it's early spring and it's still very cold where you live. But this is truly designed for like fall and winter, so very cool weather. The fragrance is also warm, spicy, and then to top it all off, has like a balsamic quality to it, which speaks to the fall season for sure. This is the perfect fragrance to wear when you're having family gatherings or you're going out with your friends during the fall season for drinks or for anything, for a formal event. This is not a fragrance that I would wear to the gym because it is a powerhouse. But other than that, you can use it for just any occasion where again, you want to evoke that feel of like mystery, like you are alluring because you are going to pull people, but at that, there's still an air of mystery to you. Not necessarily sexy and dark, but more like mysterious, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let us know if you've tried this beauty from Chris Collins. The next fragrance that I have for you is from Ella K, and this one is Amber K. And here is the gorgeous bottle. Now, the bottle alone tells you what this fragrance is about, because this is a pure ambery fragrance, but at that, it has like the note of violet, and it gives it a powdery dry down, which is what I absolutely love about this fragrance. There's also like a bit of like, not necessarily a smoky quality to the fragrance, but it's almost like a little bit of like a little bit, and I don't want to say it this way because I don't want you to think, oh, it's going to smell like it's burning. No, but there's like a little bit of like a roasty, like when you're sitting in front of a fireplace outside, like if you have a fire pit during the fall and you're sitting in the backyard, you're sitting outside and you have the fire pit going on, there's a little bit of that scent that comes through in this fragrance. But all in all, this is really about that amber quality. This is truly, as the name says it is all about that ambery scent. So if you're looking for the perfect amber fragrance for the fall, then you definitely have to try Amber K from Ella K, because you are absolutely going to love this. At that, there is also vanilla here. There are some spicy notes. This is such a not necessarily complex, but a fragrance that, although it is all about that ambery quality, it has quite a bit of character, and it has quite a bit going on here. Because you also have here, in addition to that vanilla and to those spicy notes, you also have here tonka bean, and you also have the note of leather. The note of leather, to my nose and on my skin, is present throughout the olfactory journey, but at the dry down, it becomes quite faint. And it's no longer about that leather being necessarily very present in the scent overall. And it may be a function that at the dry down, we are now experiencing the full effect of the blend, right? And in Amber K, it's been done very, very nicely. This is a 2025 release, so I have not had the chance to use it for an entire season. This is a fragrance that's not necessarily, in my opinion, just for the fall and the winter and spring, but it is definitely one that I think is perfection to bring you into the fall season and carry you throughout. This is the epitome of warmth and coziness, like when you're wearing a very luscious, like cashmere big sweater with like some cashmere slacks. This is the perfect touch because there's an air of luxury and sophistication to the scent overall. So the next fragrance is so incredible. To me, this is truly a masterpiece, but it just so happens that every fragrance that I've tried from this house really pulls me in a certain kind of way. If there is a fragrance that will define a specific situation in your mind and in the feel of the fragrance overall, when you've used it several times and you've experienced the scent as far as what it makes you feel, what it evokes in you, it is definitely a fragrance from Victoria Beckham. And when it comes to Reverie 2150, this evokes all of the feeling of luxury. This is a fragrance that, to my nose and on my skin, opens with a very present tobacco note that has been wrapped in like a good bit of vanilla. The fragrance is sweet, not a little bit sweet, not sickly sweet, but it is definitely a sweet fragrance. It has a beautifully done plum note, which brings a certain degree of fruitiness to the fragrance. But to me, this is not a fruity fragrance, but it does have a very present tobacco wrapped in that vanilla, complemented. Let's say that it complemented. Yeah, that's how I would define it. That plum, that's what it does. It brings a bit of ease, because if not, I'm afraid that the level of tobacco that you get here, because the tobacco that I'm picking up here is a serious tobacco. It's not that this is all about the tobacco, but the tobacco definitely plays a very key role in the olfactory journey and at the dry down and throughout the wear of the fragrance. There's no avoiding it. But at the dry down, the blend is so smooth, very much in tune with all of the Victoria Beckham fragrances I've tried and own today. It is very smooth, and it's all about a perfectly done blend that doesn't miss a beat. To me, this is truly a masterpiece, and it is fall and winter luxury in a bottle for sure. The beauty of this fragrance is that although it has that tobacco and that fruitiness coming from the plum, it also has a certain degree of woodiness, and there is like a creaminess that I cannot explain. It's not necessarily a full-on creamy fragrance, but there's a certain degree of creaminess to it that you are absolutely going to love. This is not a fragrance that I would wear to the office because I think it is a bit much. Not necessarily in the scent itself being too intense or overwhelming for the office. No, I just think it's too much of a fragrance to wear on the regular to the office. But of course, wear what you want, when you want, and how you want. But for me, this is not an office fragrance. This is not for sure a gym fragrance, but it is a fragrance that you can pull for just about any occasion during the fall season when you want to feel luxuriously elegant and sophisticated and pull and be alluring and just, oh, it's just such an air of sophistication and luxury with this fragrance. Let us know if you've tried it or if you own it and how you feel about it. Have you tried any of the Victoria Beckham fragrances? And if so, which one is your favorite and why? The next fragrance that I want to share with you is, for me, the masterpiece of the house of Diptyque, okay? And Diptyque has quite the number of fragrances that I love and I really, really enjoy. But I have to tell you that when it comes to Benjoin Boheme, this is everything. And Benjoin Boheme has been around for quite a while. This is the new one in new packaging. This is not my first bottle, but let me go ahead and show you because this packaging is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. So if I recall correctly, this new repackaged version either came out at the end of 2024 or beginning of 2025. I can't remember. But what I am here to tell you is that if you are looking for a masterpiece Angelica fragrance that is specifically perfect for the seasons of fall and winter, then this is a fragrance that you definitely want to try. I don't think that this is a safe blind buy because it does have the note of Angelica and that note is quite present. The fragrance is definitely very, very ambery. This fragrance is all about that ambery quality. At that, it is warm, spicy. It has a tad of like a balsamic quality to it. This is all about that ambery, woody presence. That's what you're going to get in this fragrance. But at that, there is like an ethereal quality to the fragrance, like to the feel of the fragrance, to like the vibe that the fragrance gives you. This is like for those days where, you know, it's a beautiful fall, very cool outside kind of day, and you're just wearing like some slacks with some booties that just, you know, peek out of your very long and maybe even wide leg, like wool, perfectly beautiful wool for the fall kind of slacks, with a very, very nice kind of sweater that is a little bit chunky, and you have like a big nondescript leather bag, and you just top off that look with this fragrance. This is absolutely exquisite. This fragrance has quite a bit of patchouli in it, so you do have to enjoy the patchouli because in that woodiness that I described before, you are going to get that patchouli. And the woodiness at times does come across a little bit creamy, but that's not what the fragrance is about. The fragrance is really about making a statement just with the ambery notes, with that amber and that woodiness. That's really what it's about. I have heard others describe the dry down of this fragrance as very powdery, but I have to tell you that I don't even get the powderiness at the dry down on my skin. I really don't. So this is a fragrance that, because of the patchouli and the woody notes, and it is very much unisex, but I really think that you should try it if you are into that kind of ethereal, if you know what I mean. That not necessarily clean, but just very sleek and streamlined and elegant kind of scent. This is one you definitely want to try. So I'm sure you would agree that there's been quite the number of fragrances that have been launched this year. So for me to come to you with a fragrance that was just launched in 2025 and bring it to you and tell you that to me this is a masterpiece, that should tell you how special this fragrance is. Not only that, I've not only reviewed this fragrance already here on the channel, but I've featured it twice already. And this would be, I think, my third time bringing it to you because it is that special. So please do not snooze on this one. This is the latest from Thameen, and this one is Florentine Diamond. Wow. So let me show you this bottle. So this is a fragrance that opens up very, very sweet with a good bit of vanilla. But at that, you are almost immediately going to pick up on the note of tuberose. There's a bouquet of white florals here, but the lead is the tuberose. I dare say that you really need to enjoy tuberose in order to appreciate this fragrance, because the opening, although it sets the tone for the amount of vanilla that you're going to get in this fragrance, it also sets the tone for the fact that the tuberose is going to be present. Once the tuberose appears, it never goes away, and it will be with you throughout the wear of the fragrance. Is the tuberose screechy or bubblegummy or any kind of those qualities that we typically or that we're familiar with if you have experience using tuberose fragrances? No, that's not what you're going to find here. But at that, because this fragrance is a powerhouse, because this is an ultimate beast level fragrance, you are going to experience that tuberose. In addition to that, the beauty here is that then out of nowhere, they've incorporated the note of cacao. And the cacao is, while it's not bitter because it's not like a 94% or higher type of cacao scent, it is definitely a present note and accord, because you are going to get that mix of that tuberose with the vanilla, with that sweetness, with the cacao. And then take it to the next level and let's add the note of oud. And the oud, while being done very smooth, there's nothing barnyardish or, just not pleasing about the oud here. It is a present oud to the tune of a level 3, where 1 is the least and 5 is the most. The oud here, I would say, is like a level 3, but it is smooth and beautiful. The other thing about this fragrance is that at the dry down, you are, of course, going to get all of those accords that I've discussed, but it's almost like at the dry down, the woodiness increases. And then you realize that the fragrance is really more about the woody notes with that oud being involved that adds a little depth, like an additional layer of depth to the scent, with that very, very present vanilla, with the tuberose that is not dominant but is also present on a sweet fragrance. But when I tell you that the scent of this is just absolutely glorious. This fragrance speaks to me. This is definitely not an office fragrance because you will choke everybody around you. But this is a fragrance that you could definitely use for late afternoon into the evening and late night. This is not an early day kind of fragrance. This is definitely one that you want to reserve and pull for later in the day type of occasions. I tell you, I own several Thameen fragrances, and I think that this one right now is my favorite for sure. And before this, it used to be that for fall, I really enjoyed Bravi because it just definitely calls for the fall. And while I will wear it this year, I am so looking forward to getting more use out of this one because it is absolute perfection, a true masterpiece. Let us know if you try Florentine Diamond and your thoughts. So the next fragrance that I have for you is from Unique Luxury. And I don't know if you are familiar with their fragrances, but let's talk about Zen'gi. And here is the beautiful bottle. Now, Zen'gi is a fragrance that, much like all of the Unique Luxury fragrances that I've either tried or that I own, is a powerhouse. This is the type of fragrance that you want to wear on those days where you want to make a statement before you even enter the room, because this fragrance will announce you for sure. This has a very not only strong projection that exceeds the 2-hour mark, but it also has a very, very present sillage that will trail at least 3 to 4 feet behind you. This is the one that leaves a trail. As soon as you pass by, they will know that you were there. And people will approach you and ask you what you're wearing. So this is a high compliment getter. This is a fragrance that you cannot overspray because, again, you will choke those around you and it'll come across as a little bit obnoxious. So needless to say, this is not an everyday fragrance, and this is not one that I would pull to go to the office at all. To me, this is an end of day, like late afternoon into early evening into late night kind of fragrance. But the interesting part is that even though it is such a powerhouse, this is a fragrance that opens very citrusy, giving the fragrance a certain degree of airiness, because if not, I'm afraid that it would be quite cloying and kind of like stuffy and too dense. So I'm glad that they created that opening that brings that citrusiness and airiness, and part of that airiness will continue with you throughout the olfactory journey and throughout the wear of the fragrance. But this in no way is a freshie, and this in no way is truly an airy fragrance all the way. The fragrance is very ambery, but it also has a good bit of an aromatic quality. I also have to tell you that it does have a very present patchouli that at times in the olfactory journey is a bit dominant, but it's been done very, very nicely, but it is definitely present, so make sure that you're okay with patchouli. Now, would I say that this is a patchouli bomb? No, it's not, because at the dry down, it is all about that incredible blend of all of the notes and accords and tonalities. At that, there's also a note of wine here, which I don't think I've ever encountered the note of wine done the way it's been done here, because I don't pick it up clearly at the dry down, but throughout the olfactory journey, like midway in the olfactory journey, I pick up on like a hint of wine. And to my nose, it's more of like a Merlot, because it has like a very present, almost tannin, like you could almost like smell it. It's just very, very interesting. All in all, I just think that this is a scent that you could wear to any special occasion. It doesn't even have to be formal. I'm just saying, just not a regular occasion. Like, would I wear this to go to the movies during the fall? Yes. Would I wear it for a date night? Absolutely. You know, just any occasion. I just don't think that this is designed to be a morning or early afternoon casual kind of scent. It's really, really not to me, because the scent itself says so much. It really speaks to you, you know, putting a certain degree of effort because you're going somewhere, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I know that you put an effort if you're going to the office. I just think that the scent is way too rich and dense to a certain extent to be non-offensive in an office environment. Let us know if you've tried Zen'gi or any of the unique luxury fragrances and your thoughts. All right, so we've reached the end of today's video, and I hope that this was enjoyable for you. I really did have a little bit of a hard time picking just 15. Initially, I had said that I was going to pull 10. And then as I started to pull, I just couldn't. And I had to end up picking up, you know, or pulling 15 fragrances for this lineup. But just know that I will have a lineup of best cherry fragrances for the fall very soon. And I will also have vanilla, just the vanillas. And then I will also have one just for the gourmands. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for hanging with me today. And I will see you all in the next video.